Hello and welcome into Command Center. Minicamp is underway and the intensity is picking up on the field. In this show, we sit down with quarterback Carson Wentz to find out how he is developing chemistry with this year's first-round pick, Julie Donaldson. And speaking of Wentz, is a Pro Bowl in store for him this season? We play a game of pass or keep to try and determine the most important part of his game. And we are taking a trip down memory lane as former Hog Mark Schlereth shares the impact Doug Williams had before his first career start. Speaking of alumni, there were plenty of burgundy and gold legends on hand to watch Minicamp. We get their thoughts on the new team next. And welcome on in. Julie Donaldson, Logan, Paulsen, Santana, Moss. Mandatory minicamp is pretty much almost wrapping up here. What has been going on this week compared to when it was OTAs?
Well, this time of year it's a little bit faster than OTA period. Not crazy. It's not supposed to be faster, but everyone kind of ramps up during this period. And it is mandatory, so they can fine you for not showing up, which is probably the biggest variable here.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was going to speak on. Just, some of the guys that don't participate in the voluntary stuff, they would be here, and the speed is a lot different. I look forward to mini camps. Back in my day, we had 2 practices a day.
Probably,
it was padded, one of them. So it wasn't that much bad. We had shoulder pads and helmets, but it's just the intensity of the speed.
We've heard a lot of guys talking about how exciting it is to be back here with their teammates, get that camaraderie. Now, the one most notably missing is Terry McLaurin because he's looking to get a new contract. Head coach Ron Rivera says we want him here, so make no sweat of that. But one player that is having a very memorable camp is quarterback Carson Wentz, who's coming off a season in which he threw for over 3,500 yards with 27 TD passes and just 7 interceptions with the Colts. Here in Washington, though, Wentz is already developing chemistry with the wide receiving group, including first-round pick Julie Donaldson. Julie Donaldson, our first-round draft pick, taken 16th overall. There's a lot of excitement in what he's already bringing to the team. Where would you say, from what you've been able to tell early on, of what he can potentially be to help this offense?
Yeah, he's an exciting young player. First of all, he's a great kid. He's a kid, another one of those guys that I'm like, dang, he's young and. But he's a great kid, and he comes in, he's ready to work. He's learning and processing quick. This playbook's not necessarily the easiest to pick up on, and the way he's kind of handled it and adapted and been able to plug in at different positions has been pretty cool to see already. And he's a playmaker. You see how naturally he catches the ball and can stay in stride and body control and all of those things. And so he's definitely an exciting guy, and I think he'll have a great year as he just continues to grow within this offense.
Everybody was saying having Curtis Samuel on his team last year was like getting a Ferrari for Christmas and you can't drive it. But he's feeling good now and he's looking good out there. What have you seen from him?
He's explosive. And obviously in OTAs, we're not wearing pads, we're not getting hit and all that, so you can only see so much. But when you see, the ball getting in his hand, how quickly, he's making a guy miss or he's getting down the field, it's impressive. It's impressive, and I only played with a handful of guys that have that kind of quick twitch ability that he has, and it's been fun to kind of build that chemistry as well and see what he does well and how we can help each other out and get better. But when you see him with the ball in his hands, he's electric, and I've seen it, from afar over his career already, but seeing it up close and in person is pretty cool.
Everybody talks about coming in here. We have to take advantage of you at this point in your career, being that vet, kind of knowing how to lead the room, lead the unit, and that expertise and experience that you come with. Talk a little bit about the weapons, because that was one thing they said they had to get you is the weapons to be able to take advantage of that, but also got to protect you. I know it's early. The defense isn't really coming at you yet, but you've faced this defense before, and we've got a lot more talent even since then. But how do you feel about the protection in the line so far?
They're awesome. Awesome group of guys. Took them out to dinner the first week and got to know them right over here at DC Prime.
That's got to be an expensive dinner.
It was fun. It was fun. Just getting to know those guys. Great group of guys. Very veteran bunch. So it's been fun getting to know them, getting to work with them, and ton of confidence in how they're coached and how they prepare and who they are as people, and then also their ability to get the job done out there. So again, their veteran kind of presence with really most of them really Sam, excluding Sam, just the experience that they all bring will be crucial and be really beneficial for us.
And even he seems kind of a little bit mature, especially
Correct.
now, a little bit calmer going into his second year, as he was saying, like
Absolutely.
that pressure of being the starter's not there. A lot of it's just being healthy for them, and having that versatility to be able to move along the line. As you know, it shuffles throughout the year.
Yep.
So minicamp's coming up. Where are you hoping to take it from the first 3 weeks you've had of OTAs to minicamp before we actually get into training camp where all the pads are on?
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of a culmination of the last, whatever, it's been 8 weeks of, installs, new plays, new scheme. Every week we kind of have an emphasis. Every day we have a different emphasis of what we want to accomplish. And so kind of just the culmination of all of that. Hopefully we can get a really good jump, but then obviously we get a break. We get a break, and hopefully this can kind of propel us into the off season so we come in kind of ready to roll for training camp.
Do you put a certain amount of expectations on yourself for an offense? Like when can you look at the offense and the options you have, the line that's protecting you, and know kind of what you're capable of?
Yeah, for one, I always have high expectations of myself and the team and the guys around me, and that's no different. That's no different this year with the guys and the weapons we have. High expectations. I think we have a lot of ability and the ability to do something special, but at the same time, it takes a team, it takes a culture, it takes the right chemistry, and I think that's what we're building right now.
Pass or keep.
And it's time for a little game called Pass or Keep. We're going to give you a whole bunch of information on why Carson Wentz will be making the Pro Bowl this season. You're going to open up the little envelope. You're going to read off the information, and either you're going to pass or you're going to keep it. That's what we're going to get to. You ready, guys?
Ready.
Okay, so here we go. Envelope number 1, and I'm going to let you start with Santana. Tell us what's inside that envelope. And if
Let
you
me
decide
see what
to
they
pass
got
it on to Logan or keeping it.
Wentz had a good 2021 season statistically. So if you had to ask me, every year is a new year. You have to go out there and kind of redo whatever you did last year, or be better if you didn't. So I'm going to say I'll pass it.
He had 1 of 3 quarterbacks with each 27 touchdowns and fewer than 10 interceptions. That goes with Rodgers and Cousins.
That was
though.
last year.
That was last year.
That was last year, different system, but I do think it is relevant, but I am also going to pass on this.
Oh, you just crumpled up. And you didn't even show anybody what was on the words on the
Nope.
inside.
Nope.
All right, envelope number 2. Logan, I'll let you take
Okay,
this
cool.
one first.
What you got, Logan?
Show everybody at home what's on that piece of paper, too.
Wentz had success against NFC East opponents. What do you think, Tanner?
No, it was you.
No,
You
I'm
passing
going
or
Tanner.
keeping.
We're having collaborative effort here, okay?
I think it has a little weight with it. He's familiar with this division. This might be one of the best divisions for him to be his best at. So I'm going to keep that.
You're going to keep that? Because I'm giving it, so you can take it, because I don't
You're
think
passing?
that matters. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
16-9 against NFC East opponents, 42 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, 257 passer yards per game. All right, our next one then, Santana, passing or keeping.
Okay. The envelope is the part that's the roughest
hardest part.
Wentz has weapons on offense.
Oh, they tried to
All
get
right,
him
yeah,
some.
this is intriguing now,
This
Tanner.
is an intriguing one. And I think one of the things about this offense that I'm high on is most quarterbacks in the league, you don't have to go out there and put everything on your shoulders. Yes, we want you to be phenomenal in some of those crunch time moments, but when you have guys like this, just give them the ball, let them do the rest. I will keep it.
Damn it. You keeping that? I like this one a lot. Too bad it went to Tanner first.
Because you would have kept that one as well. All right, well, there's one more, although you're tossing them all as you keep them. Okay,
Well, we're
then,
supposed to
Logan
have
will
them
let you go to this
a portfolio by the end of this, or what?
Put them in your back pocket.
Yeah, seriously. All right. The Commanders' schedule seems favorable. I actually like this one quite a bit, and this is what I'm going to keep. As much as I like the offensive weapons, this is maybe the most relevant thing of this offseason, of the season for them.
Since you snatched it out last time, I'm keeping this one also. I think, this means more than anything. All other stuff we talked about, regardless, schedule matters.
And teams do get better. They do get better, but I think it is a relevant factor. Because the defense is going to play better, all that kind of stuff, it's important.
9 of 17 games are against teams with below 500 records from last season, so you're saying that will help us out. All right, Santana, you get the last one. If you're going to pass or keep, I don't know where we're at on him making the Pro Bowl or not. I feel we might be like a little split right here, basically.
A return to the postseason for Washington. Well, I definitely believe that if we going back to the postseason this year,
He's got it.
His game has risen, and he has to have been a better quarterback this year. So I would keep this.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback on that, I think that when teams are in the postseason, the quarterbacks get better media coverage, right? And so I think with the weapons, with the easier schedule, if they were to make a run, I think the national market would be talking about them with that kind of language, especially bringing a team like the Commanders from last year into what they are this year. So I think this is an excellent data point for him making the Pro Bowl.
I don't know how many we passed on. I don't know how many we kept on, but Pro Bowl season basically, is that
No, I mean, it's multifactorial here,
Yes.
but I think, we got that one on the ground right there, the weapons, the schedule, this one, I think they're all maybe.
All right, so wait and see. Play out the game.
I think it'd be better quarterback.
Yep.
Coming up, former Hog and Super Bowl champion Mark Schlereth stops by to share the story of his first career start with the help from his quarterback, Doug Williams. And for all the latest news surrounding the team, make sure to check out our staff writer Zach Selby's Minicamp notebook, where he will be highlighting all the action both on and off the field. Better at Minicamp means Mini Commanders. The team partnered up with the content creators of Small Athletes to turn our commanders into tiny little athletes on the practice field. I found this humorous, guys. It was cute. It made me chuckle.
Yeah.
It is funny. Yeah, it's hilarious.
Especially see a lineman. They're down there.
Cosme's the best one, I think, because the proportions are really funny.
Yeah, it's quite humorous, but guess what? We're not the only ones.
Lord.
Is because
Look at that.
on Command
that.
Center
That's
we're
my
little
actual head size.
Commander mini humans as well.
I'm gonna post it on Instagram.
I mean, I don't know. We could take that home. I feel like we have a
My
big
hands,
head.
Yeah, you need to make the hands bigger, though.
I think my head is already naturally big, so it's all, it fits me.
I have to have a little bit of fun, a little bit of chuckles around here. Of course, we try to keep it creative as well. Well, not so many would be the Hogs, and of course, we know how important they are to this franchise. In fact, we will be honoring them in Week 17 against the Cleveland Browns. Not too long ago, Mark Schlereth, he came around, was talking with a lot of folks, and he actually had the opportunity to sit down with his former quarterback, Doug Williams, and share a most memorable story.
So good to see you. It's always great when you get together with teammates that that you play with, that you share that history with. But I got to tell you something. I got to tell you a story about Doug Williams and the impact you made on my career. So can I walk you down memory lane?
Yeah, you can. Yes, you can.
So my first start in the National Football League was against the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Philadelphia Eagles at that time were an ass-whipping
Ain't no question.
machine, right? I mean, their defense was as good as it gets. When you're talking about Mike Pitts and Reggie White and Clyde Simmons and Byron Evans, and I mean, on and on and on it went. Jerome Brown. Oh my gosh, Jerome Brown.
Yes.
Right? And so I'll never forget this. I get the opportunity to be a starter that week, and I go through the whole practice, and it's myself and Ray Brown, who went on to have a phenomenal career.
Long career.
Right? And Ray and I are kind of battling back and forth to see who's going to start at right guard, and they end up picking me. And we're on the bus, and I am literally scared to death. Little 10th round pick out of the University of Idaho, and I think that, oh my gosh, here I get my first NFL start, and I'm literally scared to death. And I'm sitting on the bus, completely focused forward, just sitting there. And my man Doug Williams walks in, and he walks down the bus, and he passes me by. And then all of a sudden, I could feel his body stop. And he backs up, and you tap me on the shoulder. And you said to me, I remember it like it was yesterday. He goes, listen, the only difference between you and those guys over there is those guys had an opportunity to make a name for themselves, and today's your opportunity. Yeah. And then you said, I have nothing but the utmost faith in you. And I went out that game and whipped ass, and I ended up getting a game ball, and we won that. If you remember, I think little Jamie Morris had 43 rushing attempts, right?
Right. He ran. We worked him to death. We worked him,
So what led you? As you saw, could you see the fear in my face while I was sitting on that bus?
Well, I know it's your first start, number one, and as a quarterback, I always thought my job was to make sure you let, not the receivers, but the offensive line to me has always been very important to me. Mm-hmm. You let those guys know, and I knew you was a rookie and all that. That didn't matter, but I had to let you know and everybody else know that they put their pants on the same way. And if you starting today, it's because you got talent to start. And they weren't starting you because you just showed up.
Right.
They were starting you because you deserved to start. And my thing was to make sure you had the confidence and to go out there, which you did. You know, you already had it, but it was your first start. And I understand the nervousness, but we had a game to play. And that was the most important thing, and it was an important game. And it was the Philadelphia Eagles, which we all knew their front seven was probably one of the best front sevens in football at that particular time.
Yeah.
But we had to play the game, and nobody was going to feel sorry for us. And my job was to make sure the rookie, hey, you got a job to do, let's go do it. And that's exactly what you did.
Yeah, we won that game to 10-3.
10-2.
10-3.
10-3. That's the one that Joe Gibbs kicked the table over you.
Yeah. But I do think there was one other factor in that game for me that was really cool about being part of this team and this organization and knowing the kind of the support that I had was not only what you told me before the game, but in the middle of that game, I was putting it on Mike Pitts. I mean, I was putting it on him.
Right.
And he was getting frustrated because he thought 10th rounder out of Idaho, I'm going to have a field day, right?
He thought he had a cakewalk.
Right. He thought I was going to have a cakewalk. And my big thing going into the game is I may not be good enough to play this game, but I'm not going to get punked.
Right.
Like that was what I was thinking. I'm not getting punked. And so Mike Pitts takes a swing at me in the game, and I double hand in his face, man. I try to break his jaw. I was like, I'm going to break his jaw. And I'll never forget, man, he was shocked. And then all of a sudden, Ernest Byner comes flying over the top. Boom, tackles him, right? And then it's just a melee and stuff.
And I think that's what it was. He couldn't take your nerves.
Right.
You know, you was a rookie, but at the same time, you got to play ball.
But I knew I was in the right spot with the team that we had because we had that, all for one for all, and we had that kind of connectivity as a football team that we're going to fight for each other.
That's a hard thing to explain, man. Playing with a team like, during my time here, I wouldn't take it for nothing in the world because we believed in each other. Coach Gibbs gave me that mentality that, hey, we're all going to work hard, we're going to play hard, we're going to enjoy when we win, but at the end of the day, you got to look out for the guy next to you. And I think all the guys across the front, all the guys out wide on defense, we all had the same common goal, and that's what we was team.
Right.
And that's what we did.
And I think one of the things about playing here during those times is you would watch guys and the sacrifices that guys would make for each other. And I've always said great leadership comes when you care more about the guys that you lead than you care about yourself. And I just really appreciate you because you know what? That two sentences that you gave me launched me into playing in the National Football League and starting for my entire 12-year career.
And I appreciate that, but at the same time, you really don't know, what impact you might have on somebody.
Right.
That day, it wasn't a matter of making an impact as much as making sure you understood that you started and you just as good as the guy in front of you, and that was the most important thing.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. It's great to see you, brother. I love you, man. I love you. Thank you. Thank you.
Coming up, we had over 75 alumni on hand to watch the Commanders take the field for minicamp. We get their thoughts on camp after this break. Welcome back to Command Center. This week, the team invited over 75 of the franchise's alumni to come watch minicamp. It was a fun outing where former teammates got to catch up with each other while also getting the opportunity to watch the current team in action.
I'm just excited to see all my former peers and colleagues, just to see Coach Ron Rivera and his players, see the atmosphere he's created, atmosphere of winning, just coming together as a team, just preparing for the season to come. That's what minicamp is all about.
Well, I love a few things. We get an opportunity to see new guys who came to the Washington Commanders. We get to see the guys who's been to the Washington Commanders. But quite honestly, my favorite part is seeing some of my former teammates and alumni that I've never met in the past that are here to celebrate today.
The people that stuck out to me are under this tent. I seen Rocky McIntosh, and that's having flashbacks to when we would strangle each other's necks during practice. And Big Derek Dockery, one of my O-line teammates. So it's good checking in, seeing some of those former teammates, as well as Jim Lachey, who I used to watch growing up.
What you look for in practice is one, technique. The guys are young, and so you want to see the technique that they have. Two, you want to see the heart that they have. Are they going to go at it full speed? Even when you make a mistake, it's okay, but you want to see guys that are going to hustle and try to get better during practice. So that's what I'm excited to see.
What would you do
I've been part of the Washington football era since 1985, and the Commanders have always treated me well. I like the new name, by the way. If people always want to ask you like the name. I love the new name. They'll never have to change it ever again, and it stands for so much. So I'm excited. I'm excited to be a part of the organization. I'm excited to still continue to be family in this organization. They've always treated me well.
It was fun to see some of the faces come back, and then I was underneath the tent listening to some of them talk with each other, and many hadn't seen each other for a long time. It's nice that we're setting this up. You guys got to go out there and mix and mingle a little.
Yeah, I do. It's always nice when the team puts on events like this, bringing back old faces, because you get the war stories, you get the fellowship. It's always great.
And Santana, some of them were saying they thought they could still get out there on the field and play as well, right? Do those stories ever go away?
They never go away, but some of them are just lying. Let's be honest. I mean, if you ask me that, I'll tell you no. I don't have nothing in me. But it's always great to see those guys come back. And just some of the stories, especially the guys like, Gary Clark. I always look forward to seeing Gary. He's always given me stories about their days and just some of the memories he had of ours.
How important is it to really kind of have that camaraderie between for the new guys that are on the team right now, especially maybe some of the younger guys that don't know what to expect in the league?
It's great to see the bonding, because now you're setting an example for these guys to let them know, like, this is what we're trying to bring to you. We're trying to bring an atmosphere that's going to, feel like winning. You know what I mean? Before you even step on the field and represent this new name, this new team name, you have a sense in what it takes to go out there and be one of those guys. So that's what I've always got out of seeing guys around, because I didn't want to, I've always played for many reasons. My name on the back of my jersey, the God-given ability, and then those guys before me that paved the way. So I'm hoping that, that's what some of these new guys, get from seeing everybody.
All right, Logan, it's about to be a little bit of a break before training camp comes up. Vacation, you're hitting the beach, going to the mountains.
My wife always wanted to take a vacation this time of year, but I was like, no, sir, I got to stay
working?
and work out, because I'd always get super stressed I was going to get out of shape. So everyone's got a different process. Mine was neurotic, and yeah.
Well, Miami was a vacation, so I
yeah,
was
there it
go
was.
home.
All you had to do is go to the beach, you were good.
Exactly.
Some of these guys will be taking a break, but not too much of one, because training camp will be here before we know it. Of course, we'll keep you covered all up through training camp in the season. Thanks for joining us on Command Center.